You felt it, haven't you? That strange pressure in your chest when everything around you is quiet, as if something is trying to speak to you from beyond the veil. But it's not a ghost. It's not a dream. It's you. The version of you that's already seen what happens when you ignore this message. The one who's lived through what you're still sleepwalking toward. That version of you is in danger, screaming from a place just beyond this moment, hoping you'll finally slow down long enough to listen. This isn't anxiety. This isn't paranoia. This is divine urgency echoing through your bones, trying to reroute you before the detour becomes permanent. And the truth is, you've been hearing it all along. You just didn't know how to interpret the signs. Those sudden chills that pass over your body, that wasn't just weather. That was your spirit remembering something before your mind could catch up. That recurring number you keep seeing, that strange phrase that keeps showing up, that dream you keep waking from without understanding why, those weren't coincidences. They were alarms, spiritual alerts from the version of you that's already walked further down the road. And what they saw? It shook them. That's why they're begging you now, because the timeline is bending. And if you don't hear this in time, what's waiting for you might not be something you can recover from. The whisper has been subtle, because your soul still had to be softened. You weren't ready before. But now, the silence is turning into pressure. The whisper is turning into ache, because time in the spiritual realm isn't linear, it's layered. And your layers are collapsing inward, demanding convergence. That means something major is about to shift. And it's not just about being ready for your breakthrough. It's about surviving long enough to walk into it. There's a reason you've been exhausted lately, even when you've rested. A reason certain people have fallen away suddenly. A reason your body is responding differently to things you used to tolerate. It's because you're being peeled away from one timeline and called into another. Your higher self saw the ending of this one, and they couldn't stay quiet anymore. They've been trying to send you messages from the future, but the interference has been thick. Spiritual warfare, distractions, toxic patterns, counterfeit opportunities. They were all designed to keep you deaf to your own voice echoing through eternity. But now the veil is thinning. Your spirit is leaning in, and even though you still don't fully understand it, you feel it. That's not imagination. That's alignment. You're being summoned into a conversation with yourself across time. And every time you dismiss it, the signal weakens. But the fact that you're here, right now, reading this, that means the message got through. Barely, but just enough to change everything, if you act on it now. Time was never meant to be a straight line, chosen one. That's the first lie you were taught. The world convinced you that your past is behind you, your future is ahead of you, and you are trapped in between, aging minute by minute. But in the spirit realm, time folds. It loops. It bleeds into itself. And what your future self has been trying to do, what they've been desperately whispering into your subconscious, is warn you that what feels far away is actually touching your present right now. The danger isn't coming. It's echoing. And every delay in your obedience, every moment you ignore your intuition, tightens the knot between who you are and who you were never meant to become. You've felt those moments, haven't you? When it's as if something already happened before it did. That strange familiarity, that gut feeling, that moment where everything around you slows down like you've already lived it. That was a ripple in the timeline, a message, your future self attempting to reach you through the only medium God allows between dimensions, the feeling. Because words would overwhelm you, signs would be dismissed, but feeling is the only language you trust when logic fails. That's why your emotions have been louder lately. It's not hormonal, it's not random, it's time travel in disguise. If you knew what was waiting for you months from now, if you could truly see the version of yourself that rises or crumbles based on what you choose this week, you would drop everything and pray like your life depended on it.
because it does. Not in a dramatic way, in a divine way. God gave you free will, but He also gave you reminders, snapshots from the future, disguised as dreams, as warnings, as gut punches, so that when your path started bending in the wrong direction, your spirit would flinch and pull you back. This is one of those moments. Your flinch is the prophecy. The calendar won't tell you what season you're in. The clock won't show you what hour it is in the spirit, but your soul knows. And if you've been feeling like something is slipping away before you can name it, you're right. The portal between timelines is thinning, and if you don't anchor your next decision in alignment with your highest calling, the current will pull you where you were never supposed to go. Here's the truth most people never accept until it's too late. You are already influencing your future just by what you allow to continue today. The conversations, the self-doubt, the silence, the scrolling, the postponing. It's not passive. It's programming the timeline. And right now, your future self is pounding on the walls of your dreams, praying you'll feel it before it fractures for good. You don't need more time, you need more truth, and you just received it.
You've been limping spiritually, but because the wound isn't visible, you thought you were fine. You thought you were just tired, distracted, foggy. But this isn't mental fatigue, it's spiritual bleeding. Something pierced your alignment long ago, and instead of stopping to tend to it, you kept pushing forward like nothing happened. You built routines around your pain. You adapted to dysfunction. You called it just life. But heaven has been watching, and your future self has been screaming through the pain because they know this wound, left untreated, will cost you everything you were born to carry. This wasn't just some emotional heartbreak. This was surgical, precision targeted. There was a moment, a choice, a betrayal, or even a seemingly harmless compromise where something foreign entered your spiritual bloodstream. A slow leak of purpose began. That's why your clarity disappeared. That's why your confidence turned into questioning. Why you've started second-guessing your intuition, your path, your own anointing. You weren't weak, you were injured. And because no one around you could see it, no one told you to stop running. But your future self saw the rupture, and they've been trying to reverse the damage ever since. The enemy's most dangerous attack isn't destruction, it's subtle corrosion. Not an explosion, but a whisper. You're not that important. You're behind. You're late. You missed it. And while you were busy proving your worth, you didn't realize you were bleeding belief. That's why it's been hard to pray with fire lately. Why your worship feels mechanical. Why your creativity is drained. The injury was to your belief, the very thing your future depends on. Because without belief, you won't even recognize the door when it opens. Heaven hasn't left you, but heaven won't force your healing. You have to recognize what you've been ignoring. That the reason you haven't moved forward isn't because God said wait. It's because your spirit hasn't had enough strength to stand. That's why this moment matters. That's why this message is reaching you now. Because the bleeding stops the second you name it. There is something in your life that has been quietly weakening you. A voice you've been listening to. A habit that started small. A relationship that drains you. A distraction that steals more than it gives. You thought it was manageable, but it's been masking a wound that heaven needs you to heal before you step into what's next. Your future self can feel where this road ends if you don't stop here. That's why your body has been tense for no reason. That's why your chest tightens when you're alone. You're not crazy. You're being warned. The great news? You're here now. And awareness is the first miracle. Once you see it, you can treat it. Once you treat it, you can shift. And once you shift, the future changes. Instantly. Because healing doesn't take time, it takes truth. And now that you know, your restoration can begin. Not every dream is just a dream. Some are spiritual downloads wrapped in metaphor, designed to bypass your conscious defenses. While your body sleeps, your spirit doesn't. And for months, maybe years, your future self has been trying to use that sacred stillness to warn you, to show you glimpses of what's coming or what must be avoided. But instead of decoding the message, you dismissed it. You called it weird. You brushed it off. But your subconscious is not a playground. It's a battleground. And lately, your dreams have been sounding alarms you can no longer afford to ignore. You've had those dreams, the ones that feel too real, the ones that leave you waking up breathless or teary or confused. You forget the details, but the emotion stays. That's not by accident. The details are encoded, but the emotion, that's the part your future self needs you to feel, because emotion holds memory. And what you're feeling in those dreams is often something that hasn't happened yet, but could. You're not just reliving echoes, you're previewing possibilities. Recurring dreams, strange symbols, faces that speak without moving their lips, clocks with no time, houses that change shape. These aren't nonsense. They're code, spiritual communication between timelines. And the reason they've been increasing is because your window to act is narrowing. There are decisions coming that will shift everything, and your higher self is doing everything it can to get your attention before the choice becomes permanent. God allows this because He knows that sometimes you won't listen in the daytime, but your soul listens at night. Think of the last powerful dream you had. Did you tell anyone, or did you scroll it away? That was no ordinary dream, that was a message. And you weren't supposed to just survive the feeling, you were supposed to respond. Because when your future self sends a dream, it's not about entertainment, it's about intervention. You're being shown patterns before they repeat, doors before they close, people before they deceive, wounds before they fester. If you keep calling these dreams random, you'll keep misreading prophecy as coincidence. The enemy knows this too. That's why nightmares increase right before a breakthrough. That's why you wake up exhausted even after sleeping. Because your spirit is fighting while your body rests. And lately, it's been fighting harder than ever. But here's the shift. Now you're aware. Now you're awake within the dream. And that means you can start taking authority. You can ask heaven for clarity before you sleep. You can command your spirit to remember what matters. You can declare divine decoding over what's been scrambled by fear. Your dreams are maps, your emotions are highlighters, and your future self is the cartographer, marking the paths that lead to destiny and the ones that lead to danger. Pay attention, write them down, pray over them, because what seems symbolic now may soon become reality, and this time you'll be ready. They've seen it. The angels assigned to you, the watchers who've been standing at the edges of your life since birth, your future self. They've already seen what unfolds if you don't pivot now. And it's not about fear, it's about mercy. Because what's coming down one timeline isn't punishment, it's consequence. And heaven, in its love for you, gave them the vision, not so they could judge you, but so they could intercede for you. So they could beg heaven for one more chance to reach you in time. And this, right now, is that chance. God showed them the unraveling, how one small compromise creates a ripple, how one misalignment sets off a chain of events that delays your destiny by years, how one relationship you won't walk away from becomes the doorway through which spiritual corrosion enters. He showed them how your light dims when you stay too long in a place He already asked you to leave. And what they saw broke them, because your future isn't just about you, it's about the lives attached to your obedience. And if you don't step into who you were called to be, they don't get free either. This is why the urgency is growing, why you've been feeling pressure in the unseen, why even good things feel heavy, because your timeline is nearing a decision point. And God, in His grace, gave you a glimpse through signs, dreams, emotions, and strange disruptions, all designed to shake you out of autopilot. The danger isn't an attack from the outside. The real danger is what will happen within you if you keep postponing the shift. Because delay doesn't keep you safe, it keeps you stuck. And stuck is where the enemy likes you best. Gifted but distracted, powerful but hesitant, called but too confused to move. The people around you don't understand why you're withdrawing, why your energy has shifted, why you're suddenly uninterested in surface-level conversations. But that's because they didn't see what God showed them. They didn't hear the silence that followed heaven's warning. You did, and you're feeling it now. That strange knowing that something has to change now. That isn't fear, that's divine memory. Your spirit remembers the vision, even if your mind still doubts it. Heaven's not threatening you, it's protecting you. Because the version of you that ignores this message is still real, still alive in another possible future, still walking into heartbreak, misalignment, and cycles that weren't supposed to be repeated. And God let your angels see that version, not to frighten you, but to wake you up. Because you are not too late. You are right on time if you act now. This is your pivot point. The prayers from your future self, the intercession of your angels, the orchestration of this exact moment, it's all heaven shouting through whisper. You know what you need to do. Don't wait. Move now. It happened quietly. You wouldn't have even known what to call it. A flash, a pause, a moment where time felt like it cracked open just for a second. You weren't dreaming. You weren't hallucinating. You were remembering, and it almost broke through. A fragment of something ancient, something yours. Not from this version of your life, but from another timeline your soul still remembers. You felt the surge in your chest, the goosebumps, that rush of inexplicable knowing. You stood there, blinking, wondering what just happened. And then it faded. But that was the moment you almost remembered everything. God allowed it. Your future self was reaching across time, and for one divine instant, the veil thinned. You caught a glimpse of your original design before fear rewrote your programming, before trauma interrupted your clarity, before the distractions numbed your vision. You saw your true self, not the one shaped by pain or expectation, but the one God whispered into existence long before you took your first breath. And though you couldn't fully grasp it, you felt it. That magnetic pull, that gut-deep ache, that sudden urge to cry for no reason. That wasn't emotion, that was memory. You've been here before, not in this exact moment, but in this exact frequency. Your spirit has touched this timeline in dreams, in prayer, in flashes of déjà vu, and every time it left breadcrumbs, clues for when you'd be ready to return to yourself. That strange song that always stirs your soul, that recurring number, that phrase you wrote in a journal without knowing why. They're not random. They're spiritual memory markers, placed there by the part of you that knew one day you'd wake up confused and need a trail home. But life buried you. Expectations layered over you. Systems labeled you. Religion tried to tame you. Culture distracted you until you forgot. Until you shrunk into someone God never asked you to become. And yet, even with all the forgetting, your spirit kept sending signals. And every once in a while, like a flash of lightning through a fogged window, you'd remember. Not fully, but enough. Enough to shake you. Enough to make you question what else you might have forgotten. The moment you almost remembered everything was not a failure. It was an invitation. A crack in the matrix. A reminder that you are not your mistakes. You are not the delays. You are not the version of yourself that others tried to mold. You are ancient, timeless, designed with a divine intelligence that's now reactivating. And your future self has been waiting patiently for this moment, because you don't need to be taught who you are. You need to remember who you've always been. So when that flash returns, and it will, don't dismiss it, don't numb it, don't scroll past it. Pause, breathe,
Listen, because what's trying to reach you isn't outside you. It's the real you, waking back up.
They told you you were behind, that you missed your chance, that if it didn't happen by a certain age, a certain season, a certain deadline, it was over. But that was a lie. A beautifully packaged deception designed to keep you shackled to artificial clocks and counterfeit urgency. They never wanted you to know that your timeline isn't linear, it's layered, fractal, alive, and most dangerously of all, it's responsive. That means one decision, one alignment, one divine yes can collapse years of delay and pull destiny straight into the present. But they didn't want you to know that, because if you knew, you'd stop playing by their rules. You'd stop measuring your purpose by comparison. You'd stop saying, I'm too late, and start realizing, I'm right on time for my timeline. And that kind of realization is a threat to every system built on your self-doubt. The truth is, you were never late. You were being prepared in layers, seen and unseen, by a God who doesn't move by deadlines, but by divine alignment. The moment you started waking up was the exact moment the real timeline began to reassemble itself around you. They lied to you about the order of things, told you there was a checklist, a structure, that life had to unfold step by step like stairs on a human-made ladder. But your soul didn't come here to climb. It came here to remember. And what you're remembering now is this: time is a servant of the spirit, not the master of it. Which means your future doesn't need more time. It needs your agreement, right now, in this moment. Because while the world sees seconds, heaven sees surrender. That's why you felt the strange urgency lately. Why days feel like hours. Why opportunities feel compressed. Why revelations come fast, one after another, barely giving you space to breathe. Because the real timeline, the one you were always meant for, is catching up. And your future self? They've already seen what happens when you break free of the lie. They've seen the acceleration, the restoration, the overflow. That's why they've been fighting so hard to send you signals through dreams, numbers, conversations, and memory flashes. Because once you align with God's timing, no force in this world can delay what's already yours. You were never meant to follow a human schedule. You were meant to bend time with your obedience. That's why sudden shifts are possible. That's why you can go from hidden to elevated in what feels like overnight. God isn't slow, He's precise. And when your faith matches heaven's frequency, time submits. The years you lost, recoverable. The momentum you missed, restored. The vision that felt buried, revived. Don't let anyone sell you the lie of being too late. You're not on their clock, you're on God's. And right now, His voice is saying the one thing they never wanted you to hear: you're not behind. You're becoming. There was a moment, maybe more than one, when heaven reached out to you. A divine interruption, a sudden shift in your atmosphere, an inner pull that made you pause mid-thought, mid-scroll, mid-plan. It was heaven trying to step in, not to stop you, but to rescue you, to realign what was drifting, to wake up what had gone numb. But you were too distracted, not because you didn't care, but because the world made sure you were flooded with noise. The timing was perfect. The distraction was strategic. And in that brief window when God tried to shift everything, you missed it. You didn't fail. You were targeted. The distraction wasn't random. It was engineered to show up at the very moment clarity was arriving. A toxic text, a pointless argument, a sudden wave of tiredness, an unexpected bill, a dopamine loop, and just like that, the divine signal blurred. The notifications stole your attention. The fear hijacked your mind, and what could have been a breakthrough became another delay. Not because you weren't ready, but because the enemy knew exactly how to interrupt divine delivery. Heaven isn't mad at you. Your angels didn't walk away.
But they've been watching, heartbroken, knowing how close you were to hearing something that would have changed everything. That moment you suddenly felt emotional for no reason. That was an intervention. That eerie calm right before a distraction hit. That was God preparing to drop a message into your spirit. That hour when you were about to pray but never got around to it. That was heaven lining up a download you never received. And still, grace remains. Because heaven doesn't quit after one missed message. And neither does your future self. That's why the dreams keep returning. That's why the feeling won't leave. That's why you're here now, reading this, remembering things your mind never learned, but your soul always knew. It's not too late, but the distractions must be named, because what steals your attention shapes your alignment, and what shapes your alignment determines your future. You've been craving clarity, but clarity can't land in chaos. You've been begging for a sign, but signs require silence. Not the kind of silence that's empty, but the kind that's available. Available for heaven to speak. Available for God to move. Available for your higher self to finally finish the sentence it's been whispering for years. But if you keep filling every sacred space with noise, you'll keep walking past burning bushes without ever looking up. Heaven has been patient, but you're nearing a threshold, and your next breakthrough won't come by force, it'll come by focus. Something holy is trying to reach you. But you have to be still long enough to catch it. Put the distractions down.
You thought it was random, the sudden fatigue, the tightness in your chest, the way your body aches when you haven't done anything. But it's not random. It's not just aging, stress, or weather. It's echo. Your body is a receiver, more spiritual than biological, and it's already picking up signals from a version of you that exists down the timeline. A version that's been wounded by delay, compromised by disobedience, or healed by alignment. That version is sending signals back, and your symptoms are messages. Your future is not far. It's vibrating just beyond your current awareness. And depending on which choices you make now, your body begins to mirror the reality you're walking toward. That unexplained exhaustion. It's a warning from the version of you who ignored the call. That heaviness in your chest, it's grief echoing backward from a destiny never lived. Your spirit is trying to interrupt the collapse before it becomes physical, because the future leaves a scent, a residue, and your soul knows the difference between destiny and detour, even when your mind doesn't. Doctors can't diagnose this. The blood work might come back clean. The scans might say normal, but you know better, because your fatigue doesn't come from overuse. It comes from misalignment, from staying too long in places where your spirit has already outgrown, from forcing timelines that were never yours to begin with. Your future self has already lived the results of those decisions, and their only lifeline back to you is through sensation, subtle, quiet, and easily dismissed unless you've learned how to listen. On the flip side, some of your symptoms aren't warnings. They're activations, that sudden rush of energy that hits out of nowhere. That's your future strength syncing with your present body. That strange glow in your skin. That's heaven leaking through your cells. The heat you feel during prayer. That's divine memory reactivating old blueprints you forgot. Don't ignore those either, because the body doesn't just carry trauma, it carries prophecy. Everything is connected. Emotion, energy, memory, destiny, and your body is the bridge. The ache is instruction. The tingling is alert. The tightness is compression from an unseen war between what you're becoming and what you're clinging to. You don't need medication for this moment, you need revelation. Because once you name the signal, you can shift the source. And once you shift the source, the body begins to heal. Your future self is not trying to scare you, they're trying to warn you, or affirm you, or empower you, depending on the path you're stepping toward right now.
This is not just about health, it's about holiness. You are never supposed to separate your spirit from your skin. Your body is an altar, and the symptoms are sacred smoke rising from either a fire that was lit by obedience or one ignited by delay. Ask your body what it's trying to say, then listen and respond.
They know about you, not because you told them, not because you've done anything wrong, but because your future is loud in the spirit, and the wrong eyes have already seen it. The frequency you carry, the shift you're about to cause, the authority buried in your obedience, it's been studied, monitored, tracked. Spiritual intelligence agencies exist, and they don't wait until you're famous to investigate you. They move early, quietly, while you're still hidden, still unsure, still doubting your own calling. That's when they do their work, because if they can keep you confused here, you'll never arrive there. They've reviewed the scrolls, they've felt the vibration, they've scanned the spiritual documents that mark you as a timeline disruptor. Someone whose future doesn't just bless you, it rewrites realities for generations. And because of that, your file was opened long ago. Some of the delays you faced weren't just life, they were spiritual red tape, an intentional fog sent to buy time, stall your clarity, and sabotage the divine memory trying to awaken in you. These forces don't fear your past, they fear your alignment. Because when you align, systems collapse. Your dreams have already exposed their panic, the shadows in the corner of your sleep, the monitoring spirits pretending to be people you once knew, the sense that you're being watched, even when you're alone. You're not crazy, you're sensitive, and sensitivity is a weapon when you learn how to use it. You felt the resistance intensify as you get closer to obedience. That's not coincidence, that's surveillance turning into interference. But here's what they never expected: your resilience. Every time they studied your weakness, they underestimated your recovery. Every time they tried to delay your breakthrough, they accidentally sharpened your discernment. And now, you're becoming dangerous. Because now, you're aware. Now, you're remembering that no weapon formed against you can prosper unless you agree with it. The real war isn't physical, it's over your permission. And the moment you stop consenting to confusion, everything shifts. God has allowed some of this observation not to expose you, but to expose them. Because your destiny isn't just protected, it's watched over. You've got angels reviewing the same files. You've got heaven's intelligence countering every spiritual hacker trying to tamper with your mission. And the more you align, the more encrypted your spirit becomes. Your voice changes frequencies. Your presence sends disruption signals. The enemy starts glitching in your proximity because you're no longer running a human timeline, you're running a divine protocol. You've been studied, yes, but what they missed is the most important part. You can't be stopped. The script is sealed, the scroll has been opened, and your name was written in ink they can't erase. So let them watch, let them track, let them panic, because you're not here to hide, you're here to fulfill what was written. You can feel it, can't you? The pull, the pressure, the invisible tension between who you've been and who you're becoming. It's not just emotional, it's vibrational. Because the version of you that fulfills destiny doesn't exist at your current frequency. And heaven isn't waiting on your perfection, it's waiting on your resonance. The elevation must begin now, not next week, not when it's convenient, now. Because what's coming cannot be survived at the level you're vibrating at. The spiritual terrain ahead demands a higher signal, and your soul knows it. The shift isn't about doing more, it's about becoming more aligned. And that happens in silence, in obedience, in surrender. The noise you've tolerated, it's been keeping you tethered. Every distraction, every old habit, every relationship that feeds your ego but starves your spirit, it's anchoring you to a timeline you've already outgrown.
That's why your body is restless, why your dreams are louder, why things you once enjoyed now feel heavy. You're not broken, you're out of tune, and heaven is retuning you to your original frequency. Elevation always feels like loss at first, because when you rise, not everything comes with you. Certain voices can't handle the altitude. Certain environments glitch when you walk in. Certain people start acting strange because your very presence is exposing their stagnation. That's confirmation, not rejection. You're jumping frequencies, and they feel it, even if you haven't announced it. God is doing something dimensional with you. This is not self-help. This is soul realignment. You're not here to improve. You're here to transform. And transformation demands frequency. Your words must carry more weight. Your thoughts must become portals. Your energy must speak before your mouth does. And the only way that happens is if you stop trying to fit in where your signal is misunderstood. You weren't made for static environments. You were made to radiate, disrupt, and shift atmospheres. This frequency jump requires consecration, not legalism, not performance, but clarity. You must begin filtering what you consume, visually, emotionally, relationally, not because you're trying to be good, but because you're guarding the signal. The next downloads God wants to give you can only land in a field of focus. If your mind is cluttered, you'll miss what's encoded in the silence. And if you miss it, the timing misaligns. And if the timing misaligns, the window closes, but not today. Today, the window is still open, and you're standing at the edge of everything shifting. One internal yes, one surrendered prayer, one decision to rise fully, and you'll feel it. The snap, the break, the ignition, the jump. You don't need more qualifications, you need more clarity. And clarity lives in the higher frequency. Get still, get aligned, get above the noise. It wasn't punishment, it wasn't failure, it wasn't rejection. The delay that almost broke you was actually divine protection in disguise. God saw what you couldn't. He saw the trap dressed as an opportunity, the sabotage disguised as success, the wrong timeline posing as acceleration. And so, he slowed it down, paused the process, sealed the door. Not because he didn't want to bless you, but because he refused to watch you walk into a battlefield you weren't built for yet. You called it stagnation. Heaven called it mercy. There were things ahead that looked like alignment on the surface, but underneath, they were wired to pull you away from your assignment. That platform you didn't get? It would have fed your pride and killed your purity. That relationship that didn't work? It would have distracted you from the healing you needed to become the version of you who could actually keep what you've been praying for. That breakthrough you were convinced was overdue? If it had come early, it would have crushed you, because a blessing out of season becomes a burden. God didn't deny you. He delayed you for your own preservation. What you didn't see was the spiritual warfare waiting on the other side of the yes you kept begging for. And because God loves you more than your timeline, he said, not yet. Not because you weren't good enough, but because the environment you were stepping into wasn't safe enough. You were ready in your mind, maybe even in your skill, but not in your spirit. Not yet. And God wasn't willing to let the enemy use your momentum against you. So he pressed pause. That pause was protection. The silence you misread as abandonment was actually strategy. Heaven was rerouting you through stillness, slowing you down long enough to notice what you would have overlooked, teaching you how to discern, how to wait, how to recognize the counterfeit before it stole your crown. Because now, you don't just want the blessing, you want the alignment that sustains it. Your future self knows how crucial this delay has been. They've seen what happens if you receive too soon. They've seen what unfolds when you build without healing. That's why they've been whispering through your weariness. Wait just a little longer. Don't force what God is still forming. You weren't being punished. You were being protected. And now, because you didn't walk away, even when it didn't make sense, you're being prepared for acceleration without collapse. God didn't let you miss it. He just made sure you didn't enter it until it was safe. The door is still yours. The calling is still real. The promise is still alive. But now, you're ready to walk through it with eyes open, feet grounded, and spirit strong. And this time it won't break you. It'll build you.
There is a moment coming, so subtle, so ordinary, that you could miss it entirely. A conversation, a decision, a door disguised as a delay. But it won't feel dramatic. It won't come with flashing lights or a prophetic dream. It will look like life, like routine. But in the spirit, it's a fork in the path, and heaven is holding its breath. Because depending on how you respond, you will either shift into your destined timeline or slide into a detour you weren't built to survive. The enemy loves subtlety. He doesn't need to derail you with disaster. He just needs you to say yes to something that seems harmless but moves you 1 degree off course. 1 degree doesn't feel like much at first, but down the road, it leads to a life that looks close to the promise, but is completely off assignment. That's why this next decision matters. Not because of how it looks now, but because of where it leads. Your future self has already seen both outcomes. The version of you that said yes too quickly, they had to claw their way back to center. They carried the weight of that one moment for years. Regret, recovery, recalibration. But the version that paused, prayed, and listened, they didn't just avoid destruction. They aligned with divine acceleration. One decision. That's all it took. That's all it takes. This is the moment where discernment must rise above emotion, where obedience has to matter more than opportunity. Not every good thing is a God thing, and not every open door is from heaven. Some are tests, sent to see if you've truly learned how to recognize alignment, not based on appearance, but based on peace. Deep, unshakable, spirit-confirmed peace. You've been here before. A pattern dressed in new clothing. A voice that feels familiar. A temptation wrapped in timing that seems too perfect, but your soul knows. You've seen this setup before, and this time you have to choose differently. This time, you must pause long enough to ask heaven what this moment really is, because the fork is coming. And what looks like a small yes could lock you out of a massive shift, not permanently, but painfully. And God would rather whisper now than have to rescue later. Don't miss the subtle. Don't overlook the holy hidden in the ordinary. Your entire future is pregnant in this moment, and the contraction is near. One breath, one choice, one alignment, and everything shifts. This isn't about fear, it's about focus. You're not being threatened, you're being positioned. They've tried everything. Your future self, the one who already walked through what you're facing, the one who lived with the consequences of silence, hesitation, and delay. They've been whispering through your intuition, nudging you through emotion, reaching into your dreams, sending signs in places so random it had to be orchestrated, all to get one message through. You must shift now, but time is bending. The space between timelines is collapsing, and the longer you hesitate, the further they drift. That version of you is running out of spiritual currency to keep the line open. Every warning, every tug, every unshakable feeling, it's all a desperate prayer from a future that's been begging heaven for your attention. Because what happens next doesn't just affect you, it affects everyone you're called to lift, protect, awaken, and guide. You thought it was anxiety, restlessness, mood swings, but it wasn't. It was urgency, a countdown echoing through your nervous system. The sensation that something's about to happen isn't paranoia, it's prophecy. Your higher self has been racing against time, trying to create enough disruption in your awareness to interrupt your autopilot. Because if you make one more agreement with delay, the version of you who made it through won't be able to keep reaching back. This is the last warning, not from fear, but from love. You're not being punished, you're being chosen. And chosen ones don't get to sleep through the shift. You've been marked for something too big to fit inside comfort, and that's why everything has been shaking. Not because you're off course, but because your destiny is approaching at full speed. And if you don't rise now, the weight of what's coming will either break you or miss you. Heaven is still on your side, but heaven also honors time. And certain portals, once missed, do not reopen the same way. The frequency of this moment is rare. That's why the distractions have intensified. That's why your body feels both heavy and electrified. It's the push and pull between two versions of you, one who rises, one who regrets. And right now, your future self is at the edge of the cliff, arms outstretched, pleading through the veil. Don't forget who you are. Don't fall asleep again. Don't sell your voice for their approval. Don't trade alignment for survival. Please, choose us. Because this isn't about achieving more. It's about remembering more. You were never supposed to become someone new. You were supposed to return to who you've always been. But time is folding fast, and if you don't act now, your reflection may fade completely. It doesn't take years. It doesn't take perfection. It doesn't even take understanding. All it takes is one shift, one internal decision so aligned with heaven that every generational curse tied to your name begins to shake. Every assignment of delay starts unraveling. Every spiritual weight that's been sitting on your chest for years released in an instant. Because freedom doesn't come through striving. It comes through agreement. And right now, the realm of spirit is watching to see what you'll choose. This isn't just about your healing, it's about your bloodline. You weren't born into your family by accident. The dysfunction, the patterns, the silence, none of it was random. You were born into a war zone with a warrior's assignment. God placed you as the interruption, the one with enough sensitivity to feel what others denied, the one with enough courage to name what others normalized, the one who would finally say, "It ends with me." You've felt it your whole life, haven't you? The invisible heaviness, the way every step forward felt like walking through mud, the uncanny resistance to joy. That wasn't yours. It was inherited. And no one told you, because they were surviving what you were born to conquer. But the enemy knew. He watched your birth with trembling, because he saw what heaven saw. The chainbreaker had arrived, and he's been trying to stop this moment ever since. But now the atmosphere is shifting. Your spirit is waking up, and your future self is finally smiling because they feel it too. The curse is weakening, the fog is lifting, and heaven is opening over you with clarity you haven't felt in years. It's not emotional hype, it's spiritual release, a divine uncoiling of the bondage that's been wrapped around your potential for generations. This is the moment you break it, not through noise, but through authority, not through forcing, but through alignment. You don't have to understand every detail of the curse. You just have to refuse to carry it any longer. You just have to say with your life, no more silent suffering, no more spiritual compromise, no more pretending this weight is normal. And when you do, everything changes. Your children will feel it, your body will feel it, your timeline will feel it. This is where heaven responds to your decision, not because you earned it, but because you finally agreed with what God already said about you. That you are not here to continue cycles, you are here to shatter them. You are not the product of your past. You are the prophecy of your future. So whatever you do next, make it holy. Let it be the step that breaks the curse. Because the chains are cracking. And the next sound the enemy hears will be the sound of you rising. It was almost too late. You were seconds from slipping into the version of yourself that never wakes up. The one who blends in, shrinks down, forgets. The one who carries the ache but never asks where it comes from. But then something cracked. Maybe it was a moment of silence. a message at the perfect time, a dream that wouldn't leave you alone. Whatever it was, it triggered something ancient inside you, something God buried so deep that not even trauma could kill it. You remembered, not everything at once, not in words, but in feeling, in resonance. A full body knowing that you were never meant to settle, that your intuition wasn't anxiety, that your fire wasn't arrogance, that your sensitivity wasn't weakness. It was the evidence of spiritual memory trying to break through. And in that moment, without any fanfare, without any title or validation, you returned to yourself, and heaven rejoiced, because that version of you, the real you, that's the one the enemy never wanted to meet. That's the one who walks into rooms and shifts the atmosphere without saying a word. That's the one who prays and causes chain reactions in realms unseen. That's the one your ancestors prayed for when they didn't even have language for it. And now, you're back, fully present, fully aware, fully aligned. Do you realize what that means? It means the curses can't continue. It means the delay no longer has authority. It means the counterfeit versions of you no longer hold power. Because remembrance is the most dangerous kind of deliverance. It doesn't just change how you feel, it changes what you allow. It severs the old contracts you didn't even know you agreed to. It silences the voices you once thought were yours. And it reintroduces you to the divine intelligence you were born with, the part of you that never forgot. That's why the attacks increased before now. That's why the distractions were louder than usual. That's why the doubt got personal, because your awakening was close. And once a chosen one remembers, nothing can convince them to go back to sleep. Your future self knew this moment would come. That's why they kept trying. That's why they never stopped sending you glimpses, because they knew one moment of alignment could pull you out of years of fog. And now you're here. You didn't miss it. You didn't lose it. You didn't run out of time. You aligned just in time. And everything is shifting to respond. Don't be surprised when opportunities find you. Don't be shocked when peace returns for no reason. Don't doubt it when people say, there's something different about you. They're not wrong. They're just seeing the version of you that was always written, finally activated. You remembered who you are, and the timeline just corrected itself to match. Not your parents, not your partner, not a pastor, a guru, a mentor, or a movement. They might have helped along the way. They may have held a mirror or whispered a reminder, but they were never designed to carry you across the threshold. That's always been your assignment, and now you see it, clearer than ever, that the rescue was never external. It was buried inside you, waiting for your yes. You've been the answer all along, the power you kept searching for. It was never lost. It was locked, hidden beneath layers of survival, performance, trauma, and false identity. But every time you chose alignment over approval, you found the key. Every time you said no to the pattern and yes to the calling, you turned the lock. And now, standing here at the end of the old world and the beginning of the new, you realize the rescue already happened. You woke up, and that changes everything. Your future self isn't asking for more action. They're rejoicing in your awareness, because you didn't just save your destiny, you saved them. You stopped the cycle. You ended the delay. You pulled the emergency brake on a runaway train that generations before you were too wounded to slow. You stood up in the middle of the noise, the chaos, the excuses, and said, "No more." I choose to remember that's what makes you dangerous now. Not because of how loud you are, but because of how aligned you've become. Your presence is a signal. Your choices are warfare. Your boundaries are intercession. And your glow, that's the evidence of a soul no longer waiting for rescue, but actively writing new code for everyone connected to your name. God watched it happen, all of it.
He saw the days you wanted to quit but didn't, the nights you cried out and heard nothing but still moved forward, the mornings you woke up heavy but said yes anyway. That's the kind of obedience heaven records. That's the kind of faith that reconfigures timelines. You weren't saved by accident, you were saved by decision. 1,000 tiny yeses that added up to one eternal shift. So now the question isn't, who will help me? It's, who do I become now that I've helped myself? Now you lead. Now you shine. Now you show others how to find the light within, not by fixing them, but by becoming such a clear mirror that they can't help but recognize themselves. Because that's the assignment now. Not to wait, not to beg, but to embody the version of you that used to feel impossible. You've saved yourself. Now go become the reason someone else remembers that they can too.
If you have come this far, it is crucial that you watch this next video here. But be warned, it is not for the faint of heart, for only the true chosen ones can handle this video. If you would like to also donate to help keep the channel going, our Buy Me a Coffee link will be in the description.